Such a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you for joining us at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. It is such a challenge sometimes. I think that I get caught in this wrestling match between different things that I think about who I should be or who I truly am or who you should be. And it really comes to a head when we have so much push towards division. There are so many things that are so convincing that they are real, right? That's one of my favorite teachings of Ram Dass is he would talk about how when you are in the midst of your drama, your melodrama, the playing out of the stories that we have with one another, it's always good to remember that the one thing that he says is, gosh, it almost feels real, doesn't it? You know, you're talking about the problems that you have in your day. Maybe you're having a disagreement with a coworker or a boss or a partner. You're struggling over rent bills, all of these things. You know, these things that are in one plane of existence, very real. Very real. Rent is as real as it gets sometimes when we're in that place, when we are stuck in this way of being that this is the entire truth. And this is not to downplay the struggles that we experience when we don't have the resources we need to meet our daily survival. This is very real. Our body is very real. Our experiences in this body are very real on one plane of existence, right? But in the thought plane, there is a separation between what we experience and how we think about it, and the amount of stress or tension that can be created by what is happening over here with conflict. Conflict is really convincing that you are who you think you are, and that means, of course, that this enemy is who you think they are. And this line of thought is not a prescription to ignore the physical or the material world. Absolutely not. Embrace the material world, embrace the physical world. And what I mean by embrace is to experience it as this wonderful expression of spirit. This is an expression of spirit just as any other expression of spirit is. This is just as valid and real in this moment as any of our conversations with ancestors, any of our conversations with God, whatever your spiritual practice may be, your experience of the expression of God and or love, whatever you name this energy, this force, is real on multiple planes. But it's amazing how we can begin to think that our thoughts are what the only truth is. And we believe in a permanence of sorts. Our thoughts, no matter how much we seem to want to get away from that, if we have a certain type of training in a certain type of culture, We are enculturated to believe in certain levels of permanence and black and white, right and wrong, all these things. And then when we get into conflict, of course, we see myself and then the other. There's one side or the other. And really, more than anything, this is a battle of thought. This is a battle of the way that we are allowing our thoughts to be belief and not recognizing that our thoughts are being well crafted and manipulated to fit a certain structure. Um, so that's where struggle lives. Struggle lives in that place of wrestling with what is thought and what is real. And in this process, we come to some strong conclusions sometimes. We've even had to, as humans, create entirely dedicated ways of being just to remember what is sacred. Of course, even the idea of sacred is thought. It's stuck in this place of delineation. Now, that doesn't mean that what is sacred is not sacred. It is. And there is holiness there. That's what the word sacred means. It comes from sacra, which is holy, to be holy or to be set aside as holy. Um, but when we have something that's sacred, it means that we have dedicated a space in our mind to hold that place as something out of the mundane. And in some ways, maybe that means that this thing, this space, this energy that we place here, this belief, this love, this devotion, dedication, this itself transcends the planes of existence. It goes through multiple planes of existence. Maybe. I don't know. But even in that, to hold the idea of one thing being sacred and another not is to have one or the other, this or that. And another of my favorite teachings is either all is sacred or nothing is. And then another one that I remember is there is no sacred, there is only what is and what has been profaned. Um, so all of these wrestlings of thoughts, all of these wrestlings of these notions and these ideas, and all of them can be really beautiful and really romantic and really convincing that it's real. And there's nothing, like I said, that's more convincing than conflict, to believe in the realness of something. And with conflict, you're being convinced of separation. We're being convinced that I am other than they, whatever the conflict is. And in any conflict, of course, there's a call to surrender. And when we live in a militaristic society, a society that values martial behaviors, values physical force, dominance and control, the exertion of force as power, then our language becomes militarized. And so then the word surrender is equated to failure. You force someone into surrender. And so now we have this struggle between people who are functioning and working within the spiritual realm and people who are functioning and working within the martial aspect of the physical world. And now they're at odds, because the spiritual lineage says, we have to surrender. Surrender to God, surrender the self, surrender, give up your resistance. And that's being understood in the physical world as give up. You lose. It's failure. And so now we have the importance being put in how we think, not so much in reverence to the sacredness of life. What becomes sacred then, what is set aside as holy, is the doctrine, the thought of one of us is right and one of us is wrong, and we are two separate individuals having this struggle. But what if surrender were to not mean one side succumbs to the other, one side fails and one side wins? What if surrender is truly letting go of the resistance to the oneness that we have, the oneness that we do share? And when we surrender this insistence upon our differences. We surrender this insistence upon our separation, and we surrender our consent to continue this disconnection. We give that up. I'm no longer interested in this struggle, this fight where I'm shadowboxing. I'm no longer interested in attacking this mirror, because if I'm you ever see the videos of a cat walking in front of a mirror and seeing what they assume is an other cat, and they put their haunches up and they start to hiss and they start to swat at the mirror? See, it's interesting, because if you have a discussion on a calm level where we're touching into our heart plane and we're touching into our experience of togetherness, then people will gladly say things like, yeah, we are a mirror to one another. But if I fight the mirror, then every action I take, that other is making the same action to me. There is no other response to my violence than violence, because we're mirrors, right? So if I surrender, the mirror surrenders. And if I give up my insistence that thought is more sacred than body, then thought surrenders. And if I give up the need to dominate, then domination surrenders. And if I move in love, then love returns. It really is that simple. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. You can use the chat feature, or you can reach out to journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. And just for a moment, I thought we could come together and just allow for a bit of surrender this morning. So just allow your body to relax, whether you're in a chair as I am with your feet flat to the floor, or you're on a pillow or a rug. Maybe you're standing, driving, listening to this in your AirPods as you walk through your day, wherever you are right now. Just bring your body into a position of balance and breathe in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And release. Breathing in is our ability to accept, to receive. Breathing out is our ability to let go, to release. To surrender is to accept what is. I surrender. This is what it is. Breathe in, surrender. To let go is to surrender. Breathe out, surrender. Find your place of love and compassion today in the ability to release resistance. This is in the thought world. What we resist in our thoughts are resisting our capacity for compassion, resisting our capacity for forgiveness, resisting our capacity for love. And as we release that, we welcome in our capacity to grow. Because when I am bigger than me, I can carry more than I thought. Breathing in and release. You can take this into your practice today. Whether you want to continue with an insight meditation, going into your internal spaces, or you want to just carry this practice into your morning. Wherever you are with us, I'm grateful that you stopped by today, and I'm grateful to share this space. So if you'd like, please reach out, journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. Hari Om.